This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome to the Alliance's weekly webinar. We have a great couple of presentations today and something kind of special. So I will get to that in just a moment, but we are happy to have you here. Lots to cover. I hope all of you and your families and your coworkers are well. I don't know if you got the notice, but from what I hear, all of us get a fall break, right? No, not so much. Wish. But we are getting close. I think we definitely are in the fall mood now. So it's nice to see all the pumpkins out there and leaves falling, which I need to take care of at some point. It's just, we're in the last quarter, y'all. So I feel you as you are working on your budgets for next year and your reports and all of those things that we say we'll get to later. It seems like later is arriving. So I hope that this is not too stressful of a time, but I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. So as most of you, I don't think there's anybody in the room right now that doesn't know me, but for all of you on the YouTubes, I am Dave Miller. I'm the program director here at the Alliance, and I use he, him, his pronouns. And I am joined by Jessica Johnson, our constituent services and support coordinator, who will be helping us out with the tech on the back end. And before we dive into our presentations, we are going to, as we do every week, take a moment of silence to acknowledge the lives that have been lost due to COVID and racial injustice in this year. So, well, and beyond for that matter. But we'll go ahead and take that moment now. So please join me. May they rest in peace and justice be found. So with that, we're going to pivot, and I have some exciting news, and that is that there's a guest host today. Woohoo! You all are very lucky, so you don't have to hear my voice much this entire webinar. You can thank me later. But I would like to introduce you all to Allie Rogers. Allie is definitely not a stranger to our weekly webinar. If you ever are checking out the participant list or the chat, she is definitely here almost every week. Yeah, I see it. We'll say every week. But she is an incredible partner, strategic partner of the Alliance and doing great work. She is the hub director at the United Way of the Southeast as the volunteer and nonprofit hub network, or part of that. So doing incredible work in Hattiesburg. She is originally from Mobile, Alabama, but we stole her over back in January as she moved here with her husband. She received her bachelor's in communication studies and a minor in public relations from Troy University. And she's going to be guiding us through today. So Allie, thank you for volunteering to host today's session. I am sure all of our participants are going to be more than happy to have you here. And so with that, Allie, I'm going to turn it over to you. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We have two incredible speakers today. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is Shelby Sifers. She lives in Goodman, Mississippi, and she co-founded Big House Books in 2014. She is also the Director of Communications at the Mississippi Spay and Neuter. Shelby, you can take it away.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And this is my with a webinar, so let's hope it works. I've got some sound today, so I really hope it works. So I'm just going to tell everybody a little bit about Big House Books this morning. If anybody has any questions at any point, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. We were founded in 2014, and we are completely volunteer run. We send free books to prisoners by request to all prisons in Mississippi and a lot of the county jails as well, in order to promote literacy and to be a vehicle of change for prison reform. We do send books to individual prisoners in the mail. I have just a short video that does a little bit better of a job explaining what we do than I would. So if you cannot hear it, let me know.
In Parchman, people up there, when there's nothing really to do, a lot of the affiliations have fallouts with each other. There's nothing chaos going on. The whole time I was there, I think the library came twice. We filled out a form for the books, and they're supposed to come back the next week, and I think it's a month and a half, 2 months before we ever got the books. Couldn't depend on them to get the books to you that you want.
People in prison are just like us. We all deserve a chance to be better. At least once a week, volunteers get together at Big House Books in Jackson to prepare packages of books to prisoners. We start by reading letters from prisoners. Our volunteers get really into that because we want to make sure that we do the best job we can at getting someone the books that they want. We put them into our database and print out a shipping label. We add our postage, and then we take them to the post office. Any given week, we try to get out about 50 packages, which is about 150 books. The people we serve are incarcerated. They're behind bars. Though we can't change the whole system, we can provide a small gift within that system, the gift of self-empowerment for people who have oftentimes never been empowered in their lives.
Life in Parchman, it's a scary place. I mean, these guys have to be hyper vigilant 24 hours a day. In the prisons I have experience with, there is no rehabilitation. There's no way to get any skills, no education. There's nothing available. And I think that's one of the reasons that Big House Books is important. And that I know some are in there trying to better themselves and trying not to go back in. Having access to books seems like the only possible rehabilitation, particularly at Parchman, which is the place I know the best.
Our hope is that by sending books to prisoners, we can not only empower our volunteers to want to do more in the criminal justice system and be ambassadors for this issue, but also empower prisoners who don't know that, you know, they can start a business, or they can learn a new language, or they can graduate from high school, they can graduate from college. It's giving them the opportunity to see that they have that within them to do more, be better. All right. So thanks to the Greater Jackson Arts Council for providing that video and making that for us. I love what they put together. So hopefully that gave you an overview of what we do, but I'll go into a little more detail. And again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know. So one of the reasons why we started Big House Books is that we recognize that our criminal justice system is not only inhumane, but it's ineffective. It's violent, it's punitive, it's traumatizing, dehumanizing, It isolates people, and honestly, it's expensive. Our municipalities put endless amounts of money into incarcerating people, and we see very little positive results from it. So we try to provide through books is education for folks who may not have had access to education either in prison or before they got to prison. We provide them with a sense of empowerment because they are able to learn about the things that they want to learn about and make plans for what they want to do when they leave. We give them a sense of escape from their day-to-day lives in prison. And hopefully we let them know that we recognize them as people and we care for them, and we think that they deserve the right to educate themselves. One reason why we send pretty much any books that a person wants is because we want to foster their love for reading. Many of us learned to read when we were young, and we got to read fun books. We got to read whatever books that we wanted. Many people who we receive letters from are not literate, and they're learning to read for the first time. So we love to be able to help them gain a love for reading by reading things that they care about. And of course, that goes for people who already know how to read too. Here's just a really simple map of incarceration rates per 100,000 people in every state. The light blue is least incarcerated. Moving into that dark purple is very densely incarcerated. So you can see that, you know, we are definitely among the last when it comes to our incarceration rate, or really first, but I would consider it a last because we don't want that many people incarcerated. We're looking at between 12 and 1,400 people per 100,000 in Mississippi. Here's a map of all the organizations that send books to prisoners. You can see us in Jackson, but you can also see quite an empty space in the South in general. So we did recognize that there was a gaping hole and hope to, you know, address some of that by at least sending books to prisoners in Mississippi. Currently, there is a group getting started in Atlanta too. So there are groups starting all the time. As many of you know, working in nonprofits is an uphill battle. We're not always successful, but we keep trying. When we started in 2014, we inherited a bunch of requests from a group in North Carolina. That group was overwhelmed. They were serving prisoners in North Carolina, they were serving prisoners in Alabama, they were serving prisoners in Mississippi, and they had so many requests from inmates who had no other access to information that they just couldn't do it anymore. So they challenged a group of us in Mississippi to start our own Books to Prisoners group, and they sent us this box of around 600 letters to get us started, which was quite an undertaking. So here's that. There's a lot of ways you can help. We're all volunteers, so we all pitch in what we can. As a non-volunteer, you can help by donating some of our most used books. There are a lot of books we have plenty of, but there are a lot of books that either are one use or things that people don't give up very often or more rare that we can always use. So this list is some of those things that are always helpful. Easy places to get adult coloring books and game books is the dollar store, dirt cheap, things like that. So if you're ever out shopping and you want to pick up a few extra for prisoners, they would very much appreciate it. One thing I realized I left off is composition books. Inmates, they want to journal about their experiences. They want to learn writing. A lot of times they're in classes and they need a composition book in order to do that. We can't send any hard cover books, and we can't send any spiral bound books, but we can send any paperbacks. We don't spend a whole lot of money in Big House Books. Our only expenses are postage and rent, basically, and supplies. So any donations go a long way. It costs about $3 to $5 to send 3 books to prisoners. Most of those books are donated to us, and we appreciate any funds that anyone can contribute. We always are looking for volunteers. It's a super simple way for people to get involved because volunteer sessions are only about 2 hours at a time. We've had volunteers as young as 2 or 3, and we've had volunteers who've been older than 80. So we've had a really great span of demographics come through Big House Books, and we can usually find a job for anyone. It has been a really fun way for all of us to meet each other and connect over a shared interest and a shared passion. Beyond those 2-hour volunteer sessions, which right now are really limited to about 3 people for social distancing reasons, we do always need people who are willing to go above and beyond. Right now we're in a bit of transition, so we are looking for leadership who is interested in taking Big House Books forward on a volunteer basis at this point, or a group who may be interested, whether it be a college group or otherwise. We are looking for leaders who can lead these volunteer sessions of getting books out to prisoners, and people who can do little things like writing thank you cards to donors, doing fundraisers, and some of the behind the scenes stuff. We need help with that as well. If you have any special interests or talents, we are willing to figure out a way to put those to good use to help send more books to prisoners. I did see a question to let folks know where they can drop off books. Right now we are accepting those books in high demand, but not general donations. You can see the books in high demand on our website, bighousebooksms.org, or on our Facebook page. And you can drop them off at 133 Millsaps Avenue in Jackson. There is a large orange door. You just leave them in front of the orange door. Some folks also know that building as And Gallery. So I was excited to pull these numbers out yesterday because I hadn't added up how many books we had sent since last year. Right now, we have sent almost 27,000 books to prisoners since we started. The cool thing about this is that the books get used over and over. So after a person reads a book, they share it with other folks, and it just circulates around the whole facility. And then a lot of the facilities have libraries. Those libraries are for the most part very deficient of what they need. So these books also help better stock the library. And you probably saw in the video, we stamp every book with our address, and that's so that other inmates who read the book can write to us and know where to get books. I just wanted to give you a short timeline of how we started. We were challenged to start a Books to Prisoners group in late 2014. Here's a group of folks going through that big pile of letters I showed you. We were so lucky we had 4 teachers and two marketing folks working, which I think was the perfect combo to get a literacy nonprofit started. A friend of ours had a closet for rent for $75 a month, so we begged for money over there on the left, and folks came through and helped us rent out the $75 a month closet, where we started stocking our books, and a supporter built us those shelves. So every week we would bring all those books out into the hallway and try and sort them and send them out to prisoners. In 2016, we found a bigger closet. So we moved into that one, and we had some bigger shelves. The closet was still a closet, but the ceilings were a lot higher, so that helped. In October 2017, we finally moved out of a closet and moved into a much bigger space where we could actually stand in it and not have to move the books in and out. So we're a lot more efficient now. And this is where we currently are. I would like to say that it looks more organized now, but it's always a mess like this. In 2018, there were a couple of prisons who decided to stop accepting our books and say that inmates could only receive the Bible. Unfortunately for them, that was a violation of the First Amendment. So we were very lucky to have the partnership of the Mississippi Center for Justice, who sued the Department of Corrections on our behalf and pretty much solidified our position as a group who could indefinitely send books to prisoners in Mississippi as long as we continue to follow the rules. So here's what we look like in 2019. More volunteers than we can pretty much handle, and sending out a lot of books. Here's us in a closet. That's about as much as we could fit in there. And I just wanted to share a few of the just little snippets of letters we've received from folks who are incarcerated. I think one of our favorite things is to read these letters because I don't know, a lot of us don't really receive letters anymore, and we've forgotten that art, and inmates still practice it very regularly, and we receive some of the most touching, incredible letters, poetry, drawings that any of us have probably ever seen. Here's the Sunflower County Freedom Project coming to visit us. We're very lucky to have a lot of groups who want to come join us at Big House Books, even from hours away, and a lot of kids get to come through. This is Miss Barbara. She volunteers at the Veterans Pod at Central Mississippi Correctional, and she started a library for the veterans. So we were able to stock the library with all the books that they wanted. One of the most amazing things, something that we were all really surprised about, is that dictionaries are in very high demand. Many of us don't ever really use dictionaries anymore, but they are one of the most popular books that we send out. Here we are at the Mississippi Book Festival, one of our favorite places to be every year. I hate that we didn't get to be a part of it this year. This is a letter from an inmate who was at Parchman when they weren't accepting books from us before we won the lawsuit against the Department of Corrections. It was very hard for the inmates in those facilities during that time, knowing that the Department of Corrections was blocking an organization from sending them free books. This is the Mississippi Book Festival again. This is Jackson Academy. Every year they do a book drive and they do an amazing fundraiser where they charge every kid $5 to wear the clothes they want to wear on a Friday instead of their uniform, and they give all the money to Big House Books. This is the Hines Community College Honors Program. They come several times a year to volunteer with us. This is our little free library that we put in last year. Because of COVID, we don't necessarily have books coming in and out just for safety reasons right now. But it is a new project we started for kids' books, books that we can't use, hardback books, because we are in a neighborhood where there are a lot of children. There are a lot of people who don't necessarily have transportation or access to the library. So that has been a really fun project for us as well. Here's our contact info. Of course, you can just type our name into Google and you'll find us. And that's all I've got for you today, and I so appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Shelby. That was, wow, you do incredible work. Are there any questions for Shelby?
May I just say something? I'm in tears over here. I don't know if you saw me with my tissue.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, this is so moving. And even though there were parts of it that were a little depressing, there's so much hope involved. I think all of us on this call can agree that, you know, education is the key to every single step that people take in moving forward in their lives. And you are bringing them that in the hopes that when they get out, they can be productive members of society, which is the key to a prison system, or to keeping people out of the prison system or coming back to it. And you're providing entertainment for those who just are stuck in their cell for 23 hours a day. You're helping all of us in the community feel like we can, this is an easy thing to help people with. And I'm thinking that, you know, when the COVID is over, and Krista and Dave, I'm gonna throw this out at you, the next time that we have a big gathering in Jackson, maybe all of us from around the state can do a local book drive for the most requested books, and just bring them to Jackson and just have a big donation day. I feel like I'm ready to get out there and do something. So Shelby, I think you might have just changed my life a little bit today. Thank you for being here.
I'm so glad. I think what gets people so excited about book drives is that, like, none of us use books anymore. And we're so excited that all these books that we hang on to, I know, like, I'm a book hoarder and I won't read them again, but I just can't let go. But knowing that there's a good home for them and someone who will genuinely appreciate them feels so good. So yes, agreed.
Love that. Definitely 100% we can make that happen. I'll say personally, I've enjoyed volunteering, not nearly as often as I should, but it's a very powerful experience to read the letters. And really, I mean, some of them are pages long, and it's just, you know that you have to go and do work, but you just want to sort of stop in that moment and just take it in, and then try and deal with the emotional side of it, which is a whole other aspect. And Shelby, I remember the little itty bitty closets, and I was so happy when we had the bigger space. You know, I think organizing trips, or if you all need help sort of getting books to Jackson, please reach out. I'm sure that either the Alliance or myself personally would love to help. If you've got them and you want to get them here, give me a reason to do a road trip. I'd love to get them to a good home and in a good place. So Shelby, thank you very much for the work that you do. This is, like you said, it's an easy lift. There are some volunteer opportunities that are more difficult than others. This one is about the simplest one you can do and has some of the biggest rewards. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for volunteering with us, and thanks everybody for having me. I'm so sorry, Miss Kristen, I have to miss yours because I have to start working now.
Hey Shelby, can I ask you a quick question before you go?
Yeah.
I know you said go to your website to see what you're accepting right now, right? And then we can drop off at your Millsaps Avenue location?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm going to send that address to everybody in the chat. And so thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Hope you all have a great day. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Okay, before Kristen goes, I just kind of wanted to take a second. Like Dave said, I am the director for the Volunteer Southeast Mississippi Hub, which is located in the office of the United Way of Southeast Mississippi. I feel like that's a lot of words at one time, but I'm in Hattiesburg, but I have the privilege of serving several other counties in and around our area. I am one of 8 hub directors in the state, several of which are on this call. So if your organization is not plugged in with a hub, I promise there is more than likely one near you. It's been a huge honor to be a part of something like this. Each one of our hub directors, they go above and beyond for their community. So I really encourage you all to touch base with the one that's closest to you. And I knew this was going to happen. It's 9:30. Here comes the train, part of being in downtown Hattiesburg. But I just kind of wanted to highlight 2 things that we're working on currently for our hub. So you might not know this, but this Saturday is Make a Difference Day. And since our 2 counties that we're in, Hattiesburg, Forest, and Lamar, we are on the restriction list from the governor again. So our numbers are not where they need to be. So we really have worked with our city officials to try to figure out safe ways that people can get out and make a difference. So we actually made it a full week. So we're having Make a Difference Week this week in the Hattiesburg area. And one of the things that we've encouraged our community members and our board of directors for United Way to do is to donate to our little free libraries that Shelby talked about. We have those in and around the Hattiesburg community. And so we have encouraged families to gather up their old children's books, sanitize them down, and donate them to a little free library near their home. And so that's been really successful. A lot of our first responders have gotten involved, and they've kind of worked together to pick up different, pick up trash around certain areas and stuff like that. So it's been really, really neat to see our community come together, even in a time like right now. And then the other thing we're working on is Veterans Day. We have a Veterans Day project that's in the works. We have currently partnered with 3 local elementary schools, and we have their 2nd and 3rd grade classrooms writing letters to veterans on a template that we've created. And then we will take the letters and deliver them to the VA home in Collins on November 10th. So on Veterans Day, November 11th, the veterans can open the letters and just know that there are people in Southeast Mississippi, in the Hattiesburg area, that love and appreciate all that they've done for our country. So that's just kind of a little bit of what our hub is doing. Like I said, the hub network is incredible, and I encourage you all to touch base with the one near you. Dave shared the map. I point because it's below me, but there's the map of all of us, so you can kind of see who is in your area. But with that, we will move on to Kristen's presentation. Kristen is the program coordinator for the Alzheimer's Association of Mississippi. She is a licensed master social worker who received her graduate's degree from the University of Alabama in social work and her undergraduate degree in social work from Mississippi College. She's worked with people with Alzheimer's and dementia and their families through her work in long-term care and hospital settings. She began working for the Alzheimer's Association a year ago to help families on a larger scale. Kristen, you can take it away.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me talk this morning. I'm excited to be able to share just what the Alzheimer's Association does. I'm sure many of you have probably heard about the association, but I probably imagine not everybody knows exactly what we do. And it's taken me probably the past year to learn exactly the whole scope of everything that we do. Just to start off, I'm going to go through like a few statistics about Alzheimer's and dementia for y'all to really understand the scope of what type of public health issue this is. Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, and 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. 16 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's, and their caregivers provide an estimated 18.6 billion hours, valued at nearly 244 billion. So between 2000 and 2018, deaths from heart disease have actually decreased almost 8%, while Alzheimer's disease have increased almost 150. So we think about, all the public health campaigns and all the, the medicines that have been developed to decrease heart disease. And so really that is our goal, to educate people about brain health and hopefully find a treatment or a cure for Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. More than 5 million Americans are living with the disease, but by 2050, that number could be nearly 14 million if there's not some type of treatment or cure in the works. Also, with the number of people who get the disease, the cost of caring for those people could rise up to $1.1 trillion. So not only is this a devastating disease for caregivers and families who have to go through it, but it is a huge cost to our economic system and all the taxes that we pay. Medicare and Medicaid contribute a ton of money towards caring for people with Alzheimer's. 50% of primary care physicians believe that the medical profession is not ready for this growing number of people with Alzheimer's or dementia. Like we said, like that number is almost supposed to triple, and the primary care physicians and the health systems just aren't ready, not equipped to handle this. And so that is where the Alzheimer's Association comes in. We are the largest Alzheimer's advocacy organization in the world. Our vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementias. We added that all other dementia probably in the past year or so, I would say. With the more research that we are doing, the more and more we find out that there are several different types of dementia. So we want to be inclusive of all of them, although Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. Our mission, we lead the way to end Alzheimer's and other dementia by accelerating research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maxing quality care and support. So we have 6 strategic objectives. These are our core values: increasing concern and awareness, advocating for public policy, enhancing care and support, accelerating research, growing revenue to support the mission, and embracing diversity and inclusion. So we'll kind of tap into each one of those, briefly discuss what we do. Some of our services are ways that we provide care and support. One of those is through our 24/7 helpline. It is just what it says. We are available 24/7 every day of the year, holidays, no matter what time it is. And these are master's level clinicians that are there to, give information and referral or in-depth care consultations, whatever someone calls with, whether they just want information about, they need to find a doctor or a long-term care facility, or more in depth if they, have questions about the disease or just need somebody to talk to. It is there, and it really makes a difference to those caregivers or even people living with the disease. All's Connected is a free online community for people affected by the disease, whether you're a caregiver or living with the disease. It has thousands and thousands of people on there to support you, to answer questions. If you're a caregiver and are dealing with something, a situation specific, you can get on there and you'll have responses from caregivers across the world, kind of explaining what they did in your situation or just support in general. We do offer free online and usually in-person education sessions, education programs, and since COVID, since March, we have been working 100% remotely. So we're still offering these support groups and education programs virtually. Some of the programs that we do are 10 warning signs, understanding Alzheimer's and dementia. We educate people about the legal and financial issues, healthy living, brain health, communication strategies, behavior, and we do these education programs, whoever requests it. I mean, we get requests from churches, assisted living facilities, civic organizations, schools, whatever it is. People want and need this information, and so we are here to provide it. We are having a conference in just a few weeks, in 3 weeks. It will be virtual. It's going to span across 4 days so that we don't get Zoom fatigued all in one day. It's going to be 2 presentations a day. And we are offering continuing education hours for social workers, occupational therapists, physical therapists, nursing home administrators, and activity professionals. And this is a free conference, whether you're wanting the CEs or you're just a caregiver or a person in the general public wanting to learn more about the disease. We are having one of our national speakers come and talk about an update on the Alzheimer's research, see where we are today with that. It is actually very interesting and very promising, the research that we've been doing lately and others across the world. And speaking of research, we are the world's largest nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's research. We have invested $167 million in more than 500 projects in 27 countries. So it is more than just here in the States. We have studies going on all across the globe. Part of research is sharing your results with other people, and that is why we host the Alzheimer's Association International Conference. And this is where researchers from all across the globe come together to meet, to see what other people are doing, and share the results of the research. This year, it was held in July and it was virtual, but I think being virtual, you sometimes are able to reach more people. And so there were over 33,000 attendees at this conference from over 160 countries. So no matter where you are, it affects you. And one of the findings that was presented this year at the conference was that people who take the flu and pneumonia vaccine have a lower incidences of Alzheimer's and dementia. So we don't quite know, is that because people who take the flu and pneumonia vaccine are already taking better care of their health, or is there a direct correlation? But either way, it's a great time, to go get your flu vaccine. The Alzheimer's Association also does a lot of public policy. The Alzheimer's Impact Movement is our advocacy arm, and they work at a national level and at a state local level. We have a project manager here in the state, but at a national level, they advocate for more funding for Alzheimer's research, but also they advocate for policies that will help Alzheimer's and their caregivers. One of the big ones that they did in the past couple of years was getting care planning able to be reimbursed by insurances so that providers can spend that extra time talking with the person and their caregiver about, what to expect, what they need to do, and really taking that extra time, and they can be reimbursed for that now. Here at the state level, these are just a few things that we've done. Last year, we worked on a bank bill that actually will allow banks to flag a transaction if they suspect any type of financial abuse is happening. So they can flag that and allow time for an investigation to go through. Financial abuse for the elderly is a lot more common than most people would think. And so hopefully this will help. This year, we are working to increase respite budgets, as well as working to get rapid testing for long-term care facilities. The people in these long-term care facilities have been isolated during all these quarantines and lockdowns, and it is so important that they are able to have interactions with their loved ones, and having this test would enable them to be reconnected if they were able to show that they do not have COVID and were able to go in. This is something else to do with research. Two of the biggest obstacles with research are funding and having participants. Trial Match is our free clinical service that you just enter your information and it will match you with a clinical trial. You have the option, of course, to go through with it or just wait for another one. But we are always seeking healthy individuals, caregivers, people with a disease, no matter what. Anybody can, usually find a trial to match with. And so this is an easy way to do that. And then on to some of our fundraisers that we do. We have the Longest Day, and this is one of the fundraisers that is really one of its kind. And we actually have Adina on the line too. She is the Longest Day manager. This is her baby. It is so interesting and such a fun way to fundraise. You get to use your passion to really create a fundraiser in whichever kind of way that you would like to raise money for the mission. We do have the signature Walk to End Alzheimer's event. This is the largest, way that we raise funds for the mission. This year we did have to go a different route, of course, to keep everyone safe. But the theme this year is Walk is Everywhere. We have one in Jackson, on the coast, in the Pine Belt, Hattiesburg area, in Northeast Mississippi, and Tupelo. But this year it is everywhere. We are having some of the same similar types of things. Like we have an opening ceremony. This is the Walk main stage. So when you go online, you can see the opening ceremony. You can put why you walk. You can find support and services. You can look at some of our sponsors. So it's a really cool website. And then you walk with your team on your own. And then we do have like a drive-through Promise Garden. So that's the kind of way we had to pivot to do Walk this year, but it is very interesting. And then the last one is just a quote by our founding president: "Do things here and now, not after you've gone. If you have some money, share it, and you have some time to do it, do something worthwhile." And so that just kind of gives an overview of what the association does. My role here in the state, I pretty much recruit volunteers. Some of those education programs that I talked about, we train volunteers to go out and present those education programs, because we are a very small staff. We have like 6 staff to cover the whole state. And so we do utilize volunteers as much as we can. We train support group facilitators to hold support groups across the state. We, of course, have advocates who help us talk to their representatives to get some of this legislation passed. And of course, always recruiting teams for Walk and teams for Longest Day, and people to help on the committees for those. So that really went by a lot faster than I thought it would, but that's really all I got. I hope I have some questions though, because I would love to be able to talk some more, whether that is about Alzheimer's in general, or about what we do here in Mississippi, or at a national level.
Kristen, Carla. You do have a presence on the Central Mississippi Hub, but I know that your work is statewide. For the other hub directors in the room, how can they get in contact with you to help you promote your virtual volunteer opportunities and things you have across the state?
I know we're on the Gulf Coast one as well, and I copied Allie's, I believe, to get in contact with her. But yeah, I'll definitely look into getting on the other ones, because we are statewide.
Kristen, I saw a question from Rebecca. Did you say the House Bill 940 passed?
Is that the House bill? I mean, the bank bill? I'm not the advocacy person, so I don't know exactly, but yes, it did pass.
Great.
Any other questions? Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me today and let me share what we do. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Allie, do you have anything else you want to share before we pivot to some Alliance updates?
I don't think so. I was waiting. I saw Carla unmute, so I was gonna let her talk, but I was just gonna say, Kristen, let's definitely connect and let's get you on or get connected as well. And I think that's all I have.
Awesome. Well, before you all leave, Dina, don't leave. Nobody else leave. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Allie, for being a terrific guest host and setting the bar very high. Other hub directors, you know it's coming, and followed in the steps of Carla. So Carla, thank you for laying the groundwork. A couple of important things I want to share out to all of you. AmeriCorps is looking for more project submissions. The deadline is today, so you'll see Tamika Eaton is the contact person. Here's what I would say. Obviously, chances are you probably won't get to complete an AmeriCorps application in one day, but reach out to Tamika and discuss those details and see what can be done. If you are interested, it's a good chance to get some good information and see what you can do. So I know they are pushing hard to get applications in. So definitely consider that. And her information is in the chat. The other thing I want to highlight, and I'm imploring all of you, please, please, pretty please, I have put a link in the chat for the Alliance Engagement Feedback Survey. This is a chance for us to hear from you about engaging with the Alliance. It's 2 questions. It's super simple. We just want to know what kind of barriers exist for engaging with the Alliance. Is it COVID? Is it Zoom burnout? Is it the relevance of our content? Whatever it may be, we really want to hear from you about what kinds of barriers exist for engaging with the Alliance. Sometimes, forest and trees, right? You get so into it that you lose a little bit of perspective. And so we want to make sure that we are constantly getting feedback from you all, our partners in network, to make sure that we are attuned to what's going on and realities on the ground and your needs. So please, pretty please fill that out. It's 2 questions, and you don't even have to tell us who you are. You can just leave comments. So I promise I won't bug you with follow-up. And then we have a very special event coming up next week. Jessica has it on the screen right now. This is our Executive Director Roundtable, and our 3rd one, we're super proud of it. And this one is going to focus on Black male leadership in Mississippi. We have 4 absolutely incredible panelists and speakers. Vaughn Gordon from the William Winter Institute, Kai Harris from the Freedom Project Network, Ira Murray from the United Way of the Capital Area, and Richmond Vincent, who is the Executive Director of the Goodwill of South Mississippi. This is going to be truly powerful. Please attend, please encourage others to attend. I know you all can imagine that the conversation they're going to have needs to be heard far and wide. So please help us get the word out. If you need a copy of the flyer, we are happy to send those to you. Just let me know, email me. I'll pop my email in the chat, and we can make sure that you get that. So that's all I have. Jessica, did I miss anything?
Just on the screen is information about the other 2 trainings that we have next week on volunteer motivation and features that your nonprofit website should have. But all that information is on our website, alliancems.org/training. I really enjoyed everyone's presentation today. Shelby, who isn't here, was great. And thank you so much, Kristen. I learned a ton, and I'm really glad that I know how I can virtually participate in the walk, because that's something that I have done many years, and I just kind of assumed it wasn't going to happen. So I'm really glad you shared that information. And Allie, thank you so much for hosting our guest host. It was wonderful to have you kind of shake things up a bit. We had a lot of different hosts today, and so that was really cool. Thank you, everybody.
And with that, are there any last-minute community announcements? We do have 5 minutes, so I'm happy to fill our time. Like I said, this is going to the YouTubes, so it's not just for the folks who are in this room right now. So if you have information, even positive news, share, lift our spirits, share some good things. Please, this is your time. Softly quiet. Nobody. Laretha, anything going on in your world? Oop, there you go.
So over here we are in our, we've had 3 weeks of Bridge Builders. We started the program back and it has been going really, really well. It's an adjustment for us because we're used to seeing 65 to 70 kids a week, and we've had to limit that to starting out with 30. And we started using Sign Up Genius, so the kids have to sign up every week. So the adjustment has been is that they see the bus and they run to the bus and they're used to getting on, and we've kind of had to say, you got to sign up just so we can keep our numbers in check. But happy to say that we're almost to our full capacity at 30, and 30 is working well. So we'll see how the numbers go and how things go and see if we can increase those numbers. And we were blessed this year to be a part of a partnership with the YMCA where they provide food for kids under 18. So anybody under the age of 18 can come by and get a meal. So they've been providing that meal for 3 weeks. So everything's been going great. And we're just excited. We're getting ready to participate in the City of Pearl with their trunk or treat on the 31st. That's our fall project that we do where we collect all this candy and we give out candy bags to over 1,000 kids. So it's a really big event, and they figured out they're gonna do a drive-through this year. So we're gonna see how that goes, but we're still happy to be a part of that and do what we can from, in these times. So I'm incredibly grateful to be a part to get the emails from you and Carla. You guys send out some great information. And though I know we're all busy and it's a lot to comb through, but I always find at least something like once a week that can help. So you guys are awesome. And I appreciate you and Carla for thinking of us and for sending those things out. Just in case we have time to read something and we find something that can help our organization. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Laretha. I'm glad to hear that is going well. I always sad to hear the numbers are dropping, but I know for those kids who can participate, it is very important. And have a little bit of normalcy with some candy.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Shalisa put in the chat, the Diaper Bank of the Delta will be distributing in Choctaw for the Choctaw Nation this Saturday. That's fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Let's see here. I've got time to call on one more person. Speak up before I get to a name. It's coming. Let's see here. Tammy, anything in your world?
Hey, Dave. Hey, everybody. We've just got a lot of programming going on, and it's all via Zoom. And I'm super impressed with the kids. We've got the little ones with their parents, and then we've got the older groups, and they're into it. And you'd think they'd be sick of it, and they're not. So I'm really grateful for that. We're doing a couple of tween talks right now in different parts of the state, and that's the beauty of the Zoom is now we can be anywhere that people want us. And it's just so encouraging to see these kids really involved and wanting to learn about how to stay safe and avoid risky behavior. And I love seeing their faces. Like I'll have a long day of, grant applications and LOIs and all that stuff that we do. And like you said, thanks for reminding me of the end of year stuff. Because I had just sort of, put that off. And then when I get on and I see their little faces, and they're answering questions and they're getting excited, it's so good. So that's what we've got going on. It's great.
Wonderful. Yeah, I heard somebody shout you guys out the other day in another meeting I was in. So I'm glad that word's getting out. So y'all.
Yeah, she reached out to us. So I wondered where she heard about us. That's good to know the connection. We've got a meeting next week.
That's great. That's great. All right, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. Go have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a safe weekend and be safe, be well, and we will see you at the next weekly webinar. Bye, everybody.